Welcome back, everybody, to the Westlake Hornets Teambuilder Dynasty here on NCAA Football 14. Today's episode is a little bittersweet as we kick off the 16th and final full season of the Westlake Teambuilder Dynasty. Now, I do plan on simulating 5 years into the future once the series ends, just to see what happens to all the players we've recruited over the years, and recruiting will still be very important for us this season. So let's get right into the fun of today's video. And during the offseason, I brought up a question of who would be our long-term starting quarterback. I did not want another QB battle this year, but I also was not sure who it was going to be going into this year. We had a QB battle last year between Anthony Cortez III and CeCe Vaughn. AC3 won the battle, but he got hurt in the national title game. CeCe Vaughn came in, led us to victory, and CeCe Vaughn improved a lot more over the offseason than AC3. So after a very tough decision, I have decided that Anthony Cortez will be the starting quarterback this year. There will be no QB battle. AC3 is the guy going forward. I know CeCe Vaughn improved a ton last offseason, whereas AC3 did not as much. And CeCe Vaughn played really well in the national title game, but Anthony Cortez was more consistent last year. I need someone at the quarterback position who I can really trust, especially with Isaiah Sparks gone. So although CeCe Vaughn's a really solid player, he had a nice amount of completions last year, a nice amount of yards per game, but he just was not consistent enough in my opinion, and he was too much of a wild card. So CeCe Vaughn will be transferring to a new school along with Jake Grover and Joe Kilpatrick. I know Kilpatrick is not listed on the roster, but don't forget about him. They will all be moving to new schools. So we only have one quarterback on the roster technically this season. Let's see where those three guys will be ending up. Starting with Joe Kilpatrick, he will be headed to NC State. Kilpatrick was pretty much eliminated very early last year in the QB battle. As it turned out, he had cheated on his high school tests to get into school. Well, he still gets into NC State and will be their starting quarterback this season. Jake Grover is going to LSU. The Tigers needed a new quarterback. They do have a redshirt senior in Alexander, but Jake Grover is just the better player. He was eliminated out of the QB battle pretty early on, too, because he didn't really fit what we look for in a quarterback. And CeCe Vaughn will be headed to the rival, UCLA. They need a new quarterback with John Hefner gone. We obviously have had a lot of trouble beating UCLA the past few seasons, and now they have our former quarterback, CeCe Vaughn. So Joe Kilpatrick is going to NC State, Jake Grover to LSU, and CeCe Vaughn to UCLA. The other big talking point of this offseason was the conference switch. Back in Season 1, if you remember, we were in the Independence, and I figured for the last season of the series, it was fitting that we return to the Independence Conference. So that means we have full control over our schedule. This is what I've decided to come up with. So Week 1, against our rivals, Utah State, we have to play against them because they are our rivals. Week 2, National Championship rematch, number 2 Westlake, number 1 Michigan. Why is Michigan ranked ahead of us? They lost to us in the Natty, but whatever. Week 3 versus Joe Kilpatrick and NC State. Week 5 at Arkansas. Week 6 at Western Kentucky. A lot of road games early in the season. Week 11 versus CeCe Vaughn and UCLA. At LSU and Jake Grover. Versus our rivals Utah at Louisiana. I wanted to play at their stadium because it's really cool. Versus Army at BYU. And our senior day this year will be against the number 3 ranked Florida Gators. So I made sure to put in all of our main rivals, Utah, Utah State, and BYU. I wanted to play against NC State, UCLA, and LSU because they had our former quarterbacks. And I wanted to add some really good teams. The only non-top 5 team we're playing this year is us. We're playing the other 4 top 5 teams. So let's take a look at the depth chart. Anthony Cortez III, as I said, is the starting quarterback. Since Vaughn and Grover are gone, we don't have any other QBs on the roster. So our backups will be guys who played quarterback in high school. We have Chet Kucharski. We have Damian Purcell. Michael Hopkins played QB in high school. We actually have a lot of guys who can sling the rock a little bit. Matt Miller will be the main running back. Tazwell Hubbard as well is going to have a big role. Maybe we see what guys like Tommy Taco, Chase Holey, others, what they're all about. JaFrederick Hill will be back as the fullback. The wide receiving situation is interesting. I'm going to test out a lot of young players, but this is the depth chart for now. Mo Rogers, wide receiver 1. Isaiah Thomas III, wide receiver 2. He was the number 1 ranked player in his recruiting class. I really like him. Kadarius Franklin, wide receiver 3. Noah Cox, wide receiver 4. A lot of that is definitely subject to change. Lamar Gallagher back at tight end. We have 4 returning starters on the offensive line. The only new starter is left tackle Antonio Osborne. The other 4 starters from last year are back. The defensive ends as well are back. Jabari Achebe and Russell Ingram Jr. A defensive tackle, no more Big Tuna. Richard Rivers Jr. is out the door. Noel Payne and Sheldon House will be the main two guys, but I want to see what Vlad Van Vector can do. I really like him. And another name to watch out for on the defensive line is Jacob Williams, a walk-on a few years back, who I actually really like quite a lot. The same starting linebackers from last year, Winston Johnson, Lou Burts-Roy, and Gordon Waters-Key. We also have plenty of depth with guys like Edwin Jadiri and Thomas Hagen. The cornerback situation is another interesting one. So Justin Graves is CB1. Brandon Ralph is back in the slot. And I want to experiment. So we're going to have Khalil Onobanjo as our cornerback number 2. I think he's our best corner out of the 4 redshirt freshmen that we got. If he struggles there, I will move him to cornerback 4 and swap him with Michael Hopkins. But I want to see what Onobanjo can do on the outside. If he struggles, then he'll move down the depth chart. But I think he has a lot of potential and could be really, really interesting. Florentino Phoenix back at 3 safety. Strong safety will be true freshman Joko Onwosu. So we have 2 true freshmen who are getting meaningful playing time, both in the secondary. Zebediah Phoenix back as the kicker. Mike Jenkins will be back as the punter. Kick returns for now will be done by Graves and Miller. And then Justin Graves will be the main punt returner. Zebediah Phoenix will do kickoffs, and Elton Smith will be the long snapper. So there's our Week 1 depth chart. Obviously, a lot of things are subject to change based on how we play. That's what I'm going to rock with for now. For red shirts, this is pretty simple. If you're a true freshman not getting a meaningful playing time, you're getting redshirted. So pretty much everybody except for Khalil Onobanjo and Joko Onwosu, everybody else here will be receiving the red shirt just so they can get an extra year of eligibility. Something I also noticed is that we only have 6 seniors on the team. Now, one of the main reasons why a while back that I chose season 16 to be the final season is because there were so many good seniors in this class, but they all left us. Guys like Keith Fleming, Marcisio Alteron, Bob Adams, etc. Those guys are all gone. Isaiah Sparks was also in that recruiting class, but he was a JUCO, so he technically does not count. But I expected this to be one of the biggest senior classes that we've had. But in all actuality, it's one of the smallest, and probably the most well-known and exciting senior in that group might be our kicker. So now it's time to talk about recruiting. I've been working very hard on the custom recruits the past few days, and even though this is technically the last season, not counting the sim years, I will still be allowing custom recruits. I made an announcement in the Discord yesterday saying that people can make 1 custom recruit for each of the next 5 seasons. As I said, we're simming 5 years into the future. If you're not in the Discord and you would like to make a custom recruit, then feel free to join the Discord. The link is in the description. Alrighty, let's take a look at this recruiting class. The number 1 player is a tight end, Omondo Odede. We need tight end pretty bad for the future, so that's pretty nice. Maurice Sullivan, he's a really good athlete who wants to come here. Wide receiver Theodore Williamson. Running back Malik Bostic II. This is another thing I've had planned really since last summer. I wanted to have the son of one of the original Westlake Hornets in the final recruiting class. Malik Bostic was the first great Westlake player. And why not have Malik Bostic II here? I think Malik Bostic Sr., his highest rating at any point was a 78. And it looks like his son is a 78 right now, which is kind of ironic. But I really wanted to add the son of somebody, and I figured Malik Bostic was a really good choice. If you're an OG, you remember Malik Bostic. There's the number 1 quarterback in the nation, Greg Waters-Key, another Burmester High kid. We've seen a lot of great Burmester High quarterbacks come here, guys like Stephen Westwood, C.C. Vaughn, and now Greg Waters-Key could be the next. As you can see, there are a lot of 5 stars who want to come here, a lot of wide receivers, which is interesting. Got a guy named Blunt. You'll love to see that. But yeah, this is a really good class. I believe there are 44 total 5 stars, which is a lot. So that means that this class is really, really good. And this has a chance to be one of our best recruiting classes of this entire series. So, and then as we scroll down from the 4 stars, again, a lot of really good players. So let's do some scouting here, starting with Greg Waters-Key. He is our top target. I know Anthony Cortez III is only a sophomore, but we do have to prepare for life after him. And Greg Waters-Key is quite a good player. He is an 83 overall. He has a strong arm. He's fast and he's accurate. The only problem with him is that he's a little bit skinny. But other than that, he's really good. The number 1 player in the nation, tight end Omondo Odede, goes down to a 79. But I really want to address tight end because outside of Lamar Gallagher, who's a redshirt junior, our next highest tight end is a 55 overall. So there are a lot of tight ends on the board. Maurice Sullivan goes down to a 79. He probably looks like a quarterback. Could be a good backup plan for Greg Waters-Key. Theodore Williamson, wide receiver, stays at an 81. Running back Malik Bostic II goes up to an 81 overall. He's better than his pops ever was, which is pretty cool. Cornerback Jeremy Young, I believe he's the number 1 corner in the nation. He stays at a 78. He looks really good. Tight end John Church, again, another tight end. He is an 81 overall as my controller stops working for a second. Wide receiver Jason Dudley, he goes down to a 78. He looks good other than his speed. In order to be a really good Westlake receiver, you need to be super athletic, and Dudley just doesn't look all that athletic, but he does look like a good player. Jeff Sullivan, maybe he's related to that Maurice guy who we scouted earlier. Jeff is a 78 overall. Wide receiver Damian Christian goes up to an 80. That's pretty cool. Defensive tackle Tremont Patton goes up to an 81. That's a big get. I believe he's from Canada. Tight end Lionel Mack goes down to a 79. Middle linebacker David Smith goes up to an 80. Athlete Chris Johnson, maybe he's fast like the former NFL running back Chris Johnson. Yeah, 93 speed, 78 overall. Looks like a darn good defensive back. He'd be a nice get. Running back Quantrez Davis goes up to an 81. He just looks like a super well-rounded guy. Defensive end Roderick Blunt goes up to a 79. And fitting that we have Blunt because the guy right below him, his name is Josh Gordon. I found that kind of funny. He goes down to a 74. 3 safety Brent Hollins. I would like to add another 3 safety. Florentino Phoenix is not getting any younger. And Hollins stays at a 77. The top center in the nation, Corey Rogers, stays at a 78. And another ironic name, linebacker Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod stays as a 78 overall. So those are all the scouting points we have for now. Still a lot of good players here down the board, and certainly a lot of players who are still in the recruiting pool who I'm still intrigued to see. We'll get back to the recruiting portion in a second because obviously we get Insta Commits to do. But first, let's take a look here at some of the preseason awards such as Heisman Trophy, All-American, and the top 25 polls. So South Alabama's Brandon Merrill is the favorite for the Heisman Trophy. We unsurprisingly do not have anybody in the top 5, which does make sense. I don't expect anybody on our team to win the Heisman. Maybe Matt Miller goes off. Maybe AC3 is just some kind of beast. But I wouldn't expect it. Here's the All-NCAA first team. Southern Miss's quarterback is there. Okay. We have Kyle Harris, Jabari Achabe, Noel Payne, Luberts Roy, Brandon Ralph, Florentino Phoenix, and that is it. On the All-NCAA second team, nobody on offense. That's an oof. How about on the defensive side of the ball? We have to have somebody. Nope, we got shut out on the second team. Let's take a look at all conference now. I actually instinctually went to the Pac-12 first just because that's what I'm used to. But we're in the Independents. I have to engrave this in my mind. We are in the Independents. The All-Independents first team for the preseason, Kadarius Franklin, Elton Smith, Kyle Harris, John Thompson, Richard Golden, Jabari Achabe, Noel Payne, Winston Johnson, Luberts Roy, Brandon Ralph, Florentino Phoenix, and Zebediah Phoenix. On the second team, AC3, Matt Miller, Lamar Gallagher, Avery Horn, Russell Ingram Jr., Sheldon House, Gordon Waters-Key, Justin Graves, Jason Wilson, and Noah Cox. That is a lot, considering there are only 3 teams in our conference. We are projected to finish with the best record in the Independents. Unfortunately, there is no Independents Conference Championship. Otherwise, we'd get to play BYU again. I'm sorry, Akron. It's true. Let's take a look at the preseason polls now. I don't know how they ranked Michigan ahead of us. Michigan lost their starting quarterback. Their new quarterback is the number 1 player in last year's recruiting class, Loco Onwosu. But still, we beat them in the national title game. I think we should be ahead of them. Florida, Army, and UCLA are the other top 5 teams. As I mentioned, we will be playing all 3 of those guys this season. The other 2 teams who have our former quarterbacks, LSU and NC State, are not too far away from the top 25 and 27th and 32nd, respectively. Kansas is at 43. How about that? We live in an alternate reality where Kansas is 30 spots ahead of Ohio State. Bowling Green is number 69, by the way. That's pretty nice. But, yeah, 16 years in the future, Kansas is a better football program than Ohio State. What do you know? Who is the worst team in the nation this year? It's actually going to be our Independence buddy, the Akron Zips. I'm sorry, Akron. We should have played Akron this year just for the memes, but whatever. So now on to the final and really the only stressful portion of today's video, Insta Commits. We have a 20% chance of landing anybody who is first for us currently, starting with Theodore Williamson. And we are 1 for 1. Welcome to the squad, Theodore. A big get. How about cornerback Jeremy Young? We do not get him. Wide receiver Jason Dudley? Nope. That's a little bit unfortunate. Wide receiver Damian Christian? Nope. Next up will be middle linebacker David Smith. He does not commit. How about Quantrez Davis, running back? Nope. We're on a little bit of a down stretch here. Roderick Blunt does not commit. Josh Gordon does not commit. Brant Hollins? Nope. Corey Rogers? Nope. We are really struggling right now. We've missed our last, 9. How about A-Rod? Yes, we do. Alex Rodriguez, welcome to the team. A-Rod is a Westlake Hornet. That just sounds kind of weird. I don't know how to feel about that. Guard Pete Myrick does not commit. Running back Robert Warren? Nope. Anybody else who's first? Not a lot of guys here are first for us at the bottom. So that is it. Not a terrible session of Insta Committing. We offered 13 scholarships, and we got 2 guys. Wide receiver Theodore Williamson and linebacker Alex Rodriguez. Last year, we did not go after any wide receivers in recruiting. I did technically move one of our athletes to wide receiver, so technically I did cheat there. But it only took us 2 minutes this year to get a wide receiver. I just cannot escape getting 4 or 5 wide receivers per class. So normally at the end of a preseason episode, what I usually do is I show how I'm going to allocate the points. But I recorded this at 1 in the morning. I was super tired. I just figured I would show that in the next episode if you guys wanted to see it. But that will end this one here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Next up, our final battle with our rivals, the Utah State Aggies. We've played them every year except for season 7. I don't know why I didn't schedule them. It was one of those seasons towards the middle of the series. But whatever. Hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. And as always, have a good one. I'm out. Peace.